Buying fresh produce. I am so bad about buying fresh produce and then not getting it eaten before it rots. Does this ever happen to you? What do we do? In this video lecture, we are going to discuss what to consider when purchasing fruits and vegetables and storing practices that will maximize the shelf life of the produce. Although we can purchase our fruits and vegetables in a variety of forms, many times we just think about buying fresh fruits and vegetables. Each of the 5 purchase forms have some factors that we need to consider when we are selecting that form. Let's begin with purchasing fresh produce. Fresh produce is graded with 4 different grades available. Most fresh produce in the United States is U.S. grade number 1. Fresh produce with this grade will be fresh looking, tender, have a good color, and be relatively free from decay and bruises. When purchasing fresh produce, we need to consider the different factors that influence the cost. First, we need to consider the waste, not just in terms of the part of the fruit or vegetable that we don't use, like the peel, but also waste in terms of not getting it eaten before it goes bad. Produce that is in season, such as apples in the fall and peaches midsummer, tend to be less expensive than when the fruit or vegetable is not in season. Think supply and demand here. Plus, the flavor tends to be so much better when we purchase the fruit and vegetable that's in season. Do you ever go to the farmer's market in the summertime? If you don't, I highly recommend it. This is a great way to support your local growers and get some reasonably priced, just picked fresh produce. The next factor to consider is the level of convenience. Usually, the greater level of convenience increases the cost of the product. For example, pre-cleaned cut baby carrots tend to be more expensive than the full carrot. Another example, bagged salad mix is usually more expensive than a head of lettuce. However, if you don't have kitchen space or the utensils to prep those fresh fruits and vegetables, then the extra expense of fruits and vegetables that are already ready to eat just might be worth it. A final consideration is the purchase of organic and non-organic produce. Organically grown produce hasn't had any chemical pesticides intentionally added to the crop. However, that doesn't mean that the produce is free from chemical pesticides. Organically grown produce is not nutritionally superior, yet it tends to be more expensive. Before we forge ahead into storage considerations, we need to chat about what happens during the ripening process. With fresh produce, there is a ripening process. Fruits and vegetables are living systems with respiration continuing in the cells as they carry on their normal metabolic functions. Ethylene gas is a plant hormone responsible for the continued ripening of the fruit or vegetable. In the absence of ethylene gas, the piece of produce does not ripen. Have you ever heard of someone putting a peach or a banana in a brown paper bag overnight to get it to ripen more quickly? Essentially, the ethylene gas is being trapped in the bag, thus accelerating the ripening process. With this ripening process, we will see changes in the color and flavor, as well as the softening of the flesh. As you can see from the visual on the slide, the color changes as the fruit or vegetable matures or ripens. These changes are due to the breakdown of chlorophyll that allows the other color pigments to become more visible. Flavor changes may also occur due to a decrease in the acidity as the sugar content increases. Therefore, underripe fruit may be more tart and less sweet than a riper fruit. Ripening also causes a softening of the flesh due to changes in the soluble fiber pectin. During the ripening stage, the breakdown of pectin found between the plant cells causes a separation of the cell, leading to the softening of the flesh. Fruits and vegetables are composed of living, respiring tissue that continues to ripen and die with age. thus contributing to their shorter shelf life. To help extend the shelf life of fresh fruits and vegetables so we can lessen the amount of waste, there are several storage considerations. Fruits and vegetables tend to prefer temperatures between 45 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Most fruits can be stored on the countertop with the exception of berries and cut fruit. Vegetables like lower temperatures where the humidity is high. This high humidity is especially important for the green leafy vegetables to lessen the wilting due to the dehydration of the cells. Vegetables with a strong flavor such as peppers and onions are best stored away from other foods as that strong flavor can be absorbed into the nearby food. For example, do not store green peppers near the butter as the butter will take on the flavors of the green pepper. A second purchase form of fruits and vegetables is the canned form. Canned fruits and vegetables have a much longer shelf life, but the canning process does alter the texture and the taste of the produce. Canned produce is also graded, with grade A being the most commonly sold grade. The high temperatures and pressure involved in the canning process soften the soluble fibers in the produce, leading to a different texture than what is present in the fresh fruit or vegetable. When examining which canned vegetable to purchase, please be mindful of the sodium content. The diced tomato image on the slide clearly highlights that no salt has been added. Many times the sodium content of canned vegetables is much higher than what is found naturally in the vegetable. When selecting canned fruit, we need to be mindful of the added sugar. Fruits can be packed in a heavy syrup, a light syrup, or in its own juice. The heavy syrup pack has the most added sugar, and the light syrup many times uses an artificial sweetener. I would recommend that when possible, you select the fruits that are canned in their own juice, as we can see here with the pineapple tidbits on the slide. Canned fruits and vegetables need to be stored in a dark, dry environment with moderate humidity. Never consume foods from bulged or rusted cans, as they are most likely contaminated with the bacteria Clostridium botulinum. This bacteria can be deadly. Canned fruits and vegetables are usually good for 12 months. Frozen produce items also have a high nutrient content and are frozen at their peak ripeness. Frozen fruits and vegetables are graded similarly as those canned fruits and vegetables. The texture of frozen produce can sometimes be a little more tough or rubbery, so cooking methods are important. Frozen produce can be frozen as a mass or with each individual fruit or vegetable quickly frozen individually. The individually quick frozen produce is awesome if you want the whole fruit. These berries on the slide would be perfect for a smoothie. Frozen fruit can still be packed in a sugar solution, so you need to read the label carefully. Additionally, frozen vegetables can have added sodium or can include more than just vegetables. For example, frozen broccoli with cheese sauce. With frozen produce, you must have enough freezer space. Frozen produce is usually good for 2 to 3 months in the freezer. If you don't use the whole bag of the frozen produce, please be sure to put the rest in a freezer weight Ziploc bag to help to maintain its freshness. Dried fruits and vegetables make for some great snacks. The fruit or vegetable is dehydrated by the sun, artificial heat, vacuum drying, or maybe even freeze drying. And this dehydration results in a much lower water content in the fruit or vegetable. With this lower water activity, the dried fruit or vegetable is more resistant to microbial spoilage, so the shelf life is longer. Additionally, the nutrient content and flavor are more concentrated. The final purchase form of fruit and vegetables is juice. A few pieces of information to consider when purchasing juices. 1. What percent juice is it? The orange juice on the slide is clearly labeled as 100% juice, whereas the Sunny D is about 5% juice. You should try to only purchase 100% juices. 2. Has any sugar been added to the fruit juice or sodium added to the vegetable juice? To determine this, check out the ingredient part of the label. You can see in the orange juice label that there's no added sugar present. However, when you look at the Sunny D, we get a totally different story. You can see there the first item is water, and second we have corn syrup. Third, what is the vitamin C content, and is the vitamin C natural to the product or added to the product? How you determine this is to look again at the ingredients part of the label and look for ascorbic acid or vitamin C. You can clearly see on the Sunny D label that it includes ascorbic acid. And finally, is the juice pasteurized? Not all juice is pasteurized, and if it hasn't been pasteurized, then the label must clearly state that the juice may contain harmful bacteria. In summary, we can purchase fruits and vegetables in a variety of forms: fresh, canned, frozen, dried, and juiced. We need to be mindful of the added sugar in the processed fruit products and added sodium in the processed vegetable products. Following basic storage practices can help to maximize the shelf life of our produce.